Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cadet First Class Hillary Nolan. It's my privilege to welcome you to this 31st Annual National Character and Leadership Symposium kickoff event. Our honored guest speaker for this afternoon's Fireside Chat is Chef Robert Irvine. Robert Irvine is a world-class chef, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and host of Food Network's hit show, Restaurant Impossible. He has given struggling restaurateurs a second chance to turn their lives and businesses around in over 300 episodes. He knows a thing or two about running a successful business. In addition to his restaurants, Robert Irvine Public House at the Tropicana in Las Vegas and Fresh Kitchen by Robert Irvine within the Pentagon, he is the owner of several companies. These include Fit Crunch, whose protein bars, powders, and snacks are available nationwide. Robert Irvine's Food, which makes prepared restaurant-quality dishes available in grocery stores and provides food services to military bases worldwide, and the Lansdale, PA-based Boardroom Spirits. He is the author of 4 cookbooks, including his new business leadership book, Overcoming Impossible. A portion of the proceeds from all of Robert's endeavors benefit the Robert Irvine Foundation, created in 2014. The foundation gives back to our servicemen and women and first responders. I now ask you to direct your attention to the screen.
Anybody that is successful and has the ability to change people's lives should do on a daily basis. Cooking is a great art form and is very expressive, like painting or writing or filmmaking even. But what it does to people's lives is something special. That's why we do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to present to you Chef Robert Irvine and Cadet Second Class Kylie Schwartz.
I hope you're ready.
Me too. I've never done anything like this. So I think we're just going to get right into the questions that we have. So our first question.
Hang on a minute.
Okay. I'll slow down.
How's everybody doing? I said, how's everybody doing?
Here, watch this, sir. So in this room right now is primarily the class of 2026.
And?
Yeah, that's it. And maybe some other people, but I thought you would appreciate that.
2026, that makes me feel old. I know how to get them going.
Yeah, every time. All right, you ready?
Yep.
So, as a renowned chef and television personality, how do you believe the culinary world can help individuals embrace diverse cultures?
Great question. I think, look, we all come from different backgrounds. I was in the military, I was in the Navy and Marine Corps. Don't get excited. And when we sign up, and like all of you guys and girls here, we come from different backgrounds, but we don't understand the diversity of those backgrounds, the income levels, religion, all the things that we do differently. And food allows us to open a conversation about those tough things. And I just mentioned, when you all go and do your deployments and you go to your respective jobs around the world, you'll meet people and you are the future leaders. And the quickest way to get to know your squad or your people is through food or over a cup of coffee. You can't scream and shout at people because it doesn't work. That's the old way of thinking. But food brings diversification and inclusion of everybody around that plate of food, no matter what it is. It could be a hot dog in Afghanistan, a piece of chicken in Iraq, a Wiener Schnitzel in Germany. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the fact that you've taken the time to sit somebody down over a plate of food and a cup of coffee and learn about them and about their existence, where they're from, their families. And I wrote a book, and you mentioned it earlier, they mentioned it earlier. There are 4 things that make success in life. One of them is empathetic leadership. That's the first one. What does that actually mean? Exactly what I just said to you. Know the people that work with you and for you. You know, when I was in the military, you couldn't go up to a 4-star general and say, "Hey, sir, how are you doing today?" That was like a no-no. Number 2 is egos. We all have egos, and when you pin stripes up and put stars and put one out, you have an ego. You can't have an ego in this military. You have to lose it, and so do the people that you work for you. Number 3 is trust. If you're going to take somebody into a battle or you're going to lead somebody, they have to trust that you've got their best interests at heart. And number 4 is authenticity. You have to be the real you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not different. And I think food allows that conversation to give all 4 of those to leaders. Whether you're a 4-star general, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of Defense, the President of the United States, doesn't matter. Food is the conduit to all of that. Why do you think the president invites all these heads of state to the White House? To get things done, and it's always over food. Mm-hmm.
So kind of on that similar note, so how do you think embracing those different cultures through food can help foster understanding and unity in today's world? I think you kind of already touched on it some, but
well, I did, but I think if look at the 3 teams that cooked in the culinary competition last night, right? Each one of them had a diversity and a story about that diversity. Our military is made up of every nation there is. You don't have to be born in America to be in our military, right? So I think understanding culture, if I could put every head of state around a table, have them cook their national dish, take one bite, pass it to the right until we've all eaten the food, our world would be a better place because we would understand the cultures of those nations and understand the customs, cultures, and why things are done that way. But we don't do that. And if we took 5 minutes to do that as a leader, and look, my company has 6,000 employees. You have 4,000 cadets here, right? Not here, but in.
Yeah.
So I have diversity in my own businesses. I have 11 companies, and I have to know each one that I'm just using you as an example, that your daughter is autistic or your mom is not very well or your dad. I have to know that because when you come to work, I've got to get the best out of you, but also I've got to take care of your issues at home. That's what we do as a military family. Mm-hmm. We take care of each one of us, no matter what. And I think that's really important. Food is culture, and food is hope, and food is diversity. And the more you get into somebody that you've never met before, right? Especially here at the Air Force Academy, when you've never met somebody and you find out about them. And last night there was a young lady, and I don't know her name. I wish I got it. She's probably here, maybe. And she made a dish or a plate of food from Puerto Rico, even though she wasn't Puerto Rican. But her friend was Puerto Rican, and she wanted to honor her friend because she'd meant so much to her. And to me, that's what food is. It allows us to open doors that we would never, and have tough conversations, especially in the post-traumatic stress world. Food is very tied to post-traumatic stress because we have memories with food, whether it be childhood, whether it be in theaters, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Poland, wherever. We have memories, and those foods flood back those memories. So food is a huge part of not only morale, right? Because if you have garbage food, and don't say anything because I already know, right? If you have garbage food, the morale is not good.
You mean you didn't like the tomato soup? I thought the tomato soup was, it's top notch for us.
Look, you made tomato soup and you put everything but the tomato soup in it. That's it. Hot sauce, pepper, salt, this.
Yeah.
So I get it. So food is morale, and 26.
So changing gears with this next question, because I'm personally curious. So can you tell us about any unique experiences or challenges you faced while you served in the military and how that maybe shaped your future career, culinary career?
Yeah. I joined, I was not a young, I should rephrase that. I was not a good kid. I would get ready for school when I was 15 years old. My mother would get on a bus to go to work. I would wave like a good son, and I would double back in and drink beer. My mother called the house true story, my mother called the house one day. I picked up the phone like an idiot, and that was the demise of me. She walked me to the recruitment office. In the Navy, I was a sea cadet at the time. So I used to go away to naval bases and warships on the weekends. I wasn't smart. My naval test was 1 being the highest in English and maths, and 5 being the lowest. I got 5.5. I'm a dummy. And the recruitment officer said to me, well, the good news is you're in the Majesty's Royal Navy, and the bad news is you're going to be a cook. And I went, yes, because I would be in a home economics class with 30 girls and me, and I thought I'd get a girlfriend. It didn't work, by the way. So I think my first job, funnily enough, after 8 weeks of training, was at a place called HMS, Royal Naval Air Station Culdrose in Cornwall. Just so happened the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, was learning to fly a helicopter there. It was the first year, you would never remember it because you're all too young, but the first year the electric wok came out. An electric wok, and I cooked his lunch for 4 months every day. And then I went on to go on toward the Royal Yacht Britannia and cook for Her Majesty the Queen, Prince and Princess Diana. Somebody has my phone, otherwise I'll show you a picture of it. But so for me, the military was a great grounding of, number one, I went to the Falklands at 16 years old in the middle of a war. I grew up really fast. I didn't have a childhood because when you join the military, you grow up pretty fast. And I was taking care of 240 men on a frigate and a destroyer. But in the daytime, and then the minute the action stations, putting missiles on a missile launcher and screwing them in. So you grow up very fast. The military, for me, has taught me leadership, teamwork, integrity, honesty, reliability. And I think that's all of what we do in these companies today, is take care of each other. And there's one thing the military teaches you guys, is this. You're a team. And the minute somebody steps on one of your team, you take care of that. And that's unfortunately not what the outside world is like. They will step on you to get to your job rather than protect you. And in my companies, if you step on one of my people, you're gone. Because that's how we take care of people. The military teaches you that. It teaches you a skill. It teaches you teamwork. It teaches you resiliency. And by the way, yes, do you get bored? Yeah, sorry, you get bored. So do I sometimes. But what you get from being in the military over a period of time is something you cannot get outside. I'm not saying the money is the same. I'm not saying that, but the education and serving your country is the best thing you can ever do. And believe me, as a British citizen who came here 20 plus years ago and denounced my citizenship to become an American citizen, right? Yeah, to become an American citizen and pay taxes, and now I do more military work than I did when I was in the military.
Awesome. So now shifting back again, your culinary career has taken you around the world. It has, wow, your culinary experience has taken you around the world. How has experiencing different cultures through food influenced your personal cooking style?
I think I've cooked for every head of state in the free world, number one. So culture, imagine somebody coming to the White House from India, right? You better know the culture, you better know what you can and can't serve and how you can and can't serve it, or Spain, or it doesn't matter where you cook. Culture is always available because the product you use has to be local, right? So pick a country. I was just in Ukraine, I was in Poland, I was in Germany. I'll be on the USS Eisenhower on Tuesday. She's heading out to see, where she's going right now, right? I'll be in Gitmo the week after that. So food, and no matter where you are, remember when you get outside of the Air Force Academy, it's not a 21-day menu or a 7-day cycle menu and tomato soup and cheese sandwiches. It's a little different. And you adapt based on where you are, what you can purchase, and hopefully incorporate. So if you go to Poland right now, any of you end up in Poland, we have 27 bases in Poland, under tent. All food is done by, or majority of food is done by Polish nationals. So the food is very different than we get in the States here. Some of it's better, some of it's worse. Just depends, But I mean, culture, food, no matter where it is, always incorporates culture because of where you are. I can't necessarily, I'll give you an example. Afghanistan, I had to put food on water. It takes 12 weeks to get to Afghanistan, right? Because there's nothing in Afghanistan to feed 100, 200,000 people, let alone the land of the nationals of Afghanistan. So we had to bring everything in. So culture. I saw culture last night, mac and cheese. Really? Yeah, I know you all eat mac and cheese. I get it. But there's a way to do that that's healthier, right? And I look at how do we change and make you more resilient as a pilot, as a cyber, as a whatever job you have. My job is to help modernize the feeding platform so you get the food that you need, not only to survive, but also to thrive. Because there's only so long when you're 19 years old or 21 years old like you, I'm 58, that you can eat this garbage before you put on weight and have heart attacks and blood and all the rest of it. So what you put into your body is really important. And you don't think so now at 19 and 21 years old. But as you get older, it does. And then it's got nothing to do with culture. It's got to do with health.
And then, so follow on with that, how have your experiences with said different cultures also influenced your approach to leadership? Like, have you learned from these interactions?
So think about what the U.S. military does, right? Think about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, then all the chiefs, then all the vice chiefs, right? That's the brigade system, right? The kitchen system, the culinary system is the same way. We have a chef, you call me a chief. Well, not you, but yeah, she called you a chief. But I am actually a chief, which is kind of funny because I'm a chef, but I'm also a chief. So that hierarchy of culture is very different when you go to the Far East. It's the reverse. The chairman sits at the bottom, and you all sit at the top. So the chairman's the last one to eat, and you're the first ones to eat. So cultures, different cultures, have different ways of seeing things. We've got some great leadership. We have probably the best leadership now in all our forces that we've had in years. A great chairman, C.Q. Brown, an amazing chairman, General George, the new Army chief, General Sam, the new Marine Corps. So they are people's people, and they understand the change of equipment, right? And if you all want to be pilots, or half of you want to be pilots on 35s and 22s and 16s, 15s, whatever, And one of you might even get a chance to be a bomber pilot on the 21, one of you, because we only have one right now, eventually. But that culture has changed the way in which I lead my life, because I now have to think about you and him and him and him and everybody in this room in a different light. I can't put you in, we tend to say, oh, people from, I'm just going to use Alabama, Kentucky, England, wherever you want. We paint a brush that people are all the same, and they're not. We have to understand, and I go back to that first piece I said earlier, the empathetic leadership. I have to know how you tick, what makes you excited. And it could be education, it could be days off, it could be pay, it could be vacation. All the things, we're all different. We all get excited about different things. For me, it's spending time with you. I can make billions of dollars. That doesn't excite me. I know it would a lot of you, but it doesn't excite me. To me, it's spending time with people that chose, and you all chose, to come to the Air Force Academy and put on a uniform. I chose to put on a uniform. And when you serve something bigger than yourself, you have to take into account the world, because you will serve around the world. Some of you, and I met a young lady last night who blew me away. She won the competition, who wanted to be an ambassador eventually to a foreign country. What an amazing thing. But you've got to get there. You've got to go through the steps to get there. And again, that's cultural, that's educational. But I think no matter, you keep using this word cultural, because it's a great word, because we all have to understand each other's culture. Here in America, forget outside of the world. Here in America, we have to understand. And we're nowhere near that yet. We're nowhere near that.
So the theme of culture, if you guys didn't know, stems from the theme of NCLS this year. So that's why a lot of this is based on culture. And the next step I'm going to ask you about is humanity. So this question, can you share an example of a moment in your career when you felt a deep connection with a specific culture through its cuisine and how it impacted your perspective on humanity?
Yeah, I did the evacuation of South Yemen in a civil uprising on board the Royal Yacht Britannia, while the military band is saying, God bless the Queen, when we put 300 people on the Royal Yacht with lots of silver on it. Culture and feeding people rice and plantains and things on a beach, waiting, by the way, getting bombarded, but waiting to get them on a ship to get them evacuated. Again, we see today, if you read the newspapers, with what's happening in Israel and the Gaza Strip, culture. Afghanistan was cultural, right? There are terrorists in this world that don't care about culture. They will do the bad things, and we are there to stop those bad things. Each and every one of us in this room, and all those 2.7 million out there that wear the uniform, whether they're guards, reserves, or active duty, and the families that stand behind them. Remember, some of us are multicultural families. Some come from Samoa, some from Guam, some from India, some from... And I think that's what makes this force such a great force. Now, if I could take all the individuals that come from all them countries and take their food and put it into the dining facilities, I'd have a home run. A different menu every night. There you are, sir. That's for you. So yeah, culture's huge. And that changed my view. I love Asian food. I love Indian food. I don't like English food, by the way. But I like the diversity of being able to cook something and change. When somebody says to me, oh, I don't like curry, or I don't like this, I'm like, well, why don't you try this first and then tell me what you don't like about it? And 9 out of 10 times they're like, oh, I like this, except the soup today. It's too sweet, though.
Very sweet. Okay, so your work often involves transforming struggling restaurants. How do you empower people within your establishments to embrace change?
Biggest thing you'll ever face in your life is change. I took over Trump Taj Mahal, Donald Trump's restaurants and casinos, 4 of them. They were doing $784 million a year each, one of them. 4. Each one of those food operations did 15 million. Didn't care about losing money. The largest collection of Petrus in the world. You came in, you spent $6 million, you lost it gambling. I give you 15 bottles of Petrus, which is worth probably more than 6 million, by the way. I give you 2 million back for your plane, and off you go. You come back 6 weeks later. When I got to that location, I spent 4 weeks just roaming around. Nobody knew who I was. I just sat in bathrooms and sat in hallways and made notes. After 4 weeks, I fired 321 people. Yeah, my car was like Roadhouse, the movie. They smashed the windows, the tires, and everything. And then I started to fire these people and bring people in that had the same like mind as me. Service above self, taking care of people, delivering what we say we're going to deliver. We went from 15 million a year in each of those locations to 83 million in 1 year in each location. I made a lot of money, by the way. But to change the culture of 1,100 people in food and beverage in each of those 4 locations and 5,000 people on a casino floor, that's housemaids, roulette, etc., you have to start at the top. And unless the top wants change and is allowing open-mindedness to change, which means listening to the people, in other words, you guys, we will never affect cultural change. It has to come from the top to the middle to the bottom, or vice versa, whichever way we go. But it has to come from the top, simply because when they're engaged in that change, and we allow change to happen within, whether you have a gripe about a uniform and I listen to it and I change the uniform so that you're comfortable, not one size fits all, and you start to get happy, then you start to perform better. If I buy cheap food and ask you to make 5-star food, you can never do it, so I have set you up for failure. If I give you a gun without bullets and say, oh, you're going to go to war, but you got no bullets, you're going to have to hit the people, you're not going to get very far. So the cultural change happens when I give you, listen to this, guys, because you're the leaders. When I give you the tools to do your job, I give you the manpower to do your job, and I give you the leeway. I point you in a direction. I don't tell you how to do your job. If you have questions, by all means, come back and ask me, and I will help you. But then I have to let you go into the big wide world and change the world. So anybody watched the Band of Brothers? Good. They were a change agent. The 101st Airborne, not only legendary, but they were change agents. I did the eulogy for the last Band of Brothers 2 years ago in Washington, D.C. at the Memorial Day Parade. Changing cultures because in the Second World War, they took care of each other. They had no clothes, they had no winter clothes, they had no boots, they had no food, but they took care of each other. That's a cultural thing. When I send you out to be a leader, it's up to you to change the culture and keep the morale the way it should be. And I will share with you a story. I was in Afghanistan, actually Abu Dhabi, not Afghanistan. I come out of Afghanistan into an R&R base called Al Dhafra, which is an Air Force base. And a 1-star general said to me, what is a cook doing on my base? He left for 2 days, and I told this story last night. He left for 2 days, came back. I did a barbecue for 5,000 people on the flight line. And then I did dinner for 7,500 people using the same food in a dining facility that you have here. But I cooked it with my team in that dining facility. 7,500 people wrapped around the dining facility till 10:30 at night. You got chicken and hot dogs on one side of the line and my food on the other side. And the dining facility manager there said, oh, we've got to keep the hot dogs and the chicken because that's part of our menu. And I said, look, I give you for 20 minutes. At 4:25, that comes off. And I'm put on the second line because I've got 7,000 people to feed. Oh, you can't do that. I did it. Didn't care. One-star general comes back 2 days later. He said, what have you done to my base? I said, why, sir? What's the matter? They're all happy. Well, don't you want happy people, sir? True story. 2 years later, I go to Indo-Pac with the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Paul Salver. We fly into Hawaii. I get a tap on the shoulder. The Indo-Pac commander is a 4-star admiral, Admiral Harris, who's now the ambassador to Australia. I get a tap on the shoulder by a 2-star. Hey, chef, remember me? I said, yes, sir, I do remember you. You were the guy that didn't like happy people. Morale and food and culture is created at the top. And if you don't have that, there is no way we can be happy, which means you can't do your job because I haven't given you the tools to do it. And that tool in this case was food. You're the leaders. And I have no problem, and people will, and I'll phrase this correctly. You'll get told what to do one day, and you'll have to go and do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. After you've done it and you feel there's a better way to do it, you make an appointment to go and see that person who told you what to do and say, sir, do you mind if I have a word with you? Is this, and by the way, I'm not saying question authority, by the way. I'm saying you have an opinion. You can share that opinion at the right time and the right place. Because that's how we get better. And you're fired. She's blushing now. That was a water going all over the floor. Class of 26. Now she's all embarrassed. But there's nothing wrong with asking questions, guys. There's nothing wrong with that. At the right time, after you've completed the task, I believe in that. I have been brought up in my military career to ask questions about certain things. There is nothing wrong with that, providing you're not questioning the authority, you do it at the right place, at the right time. Am I right, sir? Is that all the questions you got? This is it?
No, there's more. It's just we're running out of time, and they want to have time for Q&A.
Questions. Chef Irvine, thank you so much for your message this afternoon. I would allow... Yeah, come on.
Good job, girl.
All right, y'all. I would now like to open the floor for questions. There's 2 microphones in the walkways, so line on up.
Good afternoon, Chef Irvine. I'm Cadet Kenny from Squadron 22.
Listen, if you want to tell me your first name, I don't need your rank and just give me your first name.
My name's Andrew.
Andrew.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah. So I could see you're very successful, and I wanted to ask, because, I felt like quitting before, and a lot of people in here, I know, like, school, whatnot, feel like quitting sometimes, but I know you're successful, so I want to ask, what advice would you have, or has there ever been a time where, like, you're striving towards your success but reached failure and felt like quitting but decided to move forward? Like, how you would do that, or yeah.
How do you move forward after failure?
Sure.
Well, no,
That sums it up pretty well. Yeah.
Success is, look, I was a cook flipping eggs in the Navy, right? Making eggs and taking grief from people like yourself because we give you 28 choices and you only want one. But look, success comes from hard work. It comes from knowing where you want to be in your life and surrounding yourself with better people than you. All my team is way smarter than me. But what I can do that they can't do is drop into Afghanistan, feed 30,000 people, and still make money. You have to have how old are you?
I'm 19.
18?
19.
19. Yeah. I wish I was 19. You have to have a plan of where you want to be and at what point in your life do you want to be there. You know, you have career counselors that can help you get to where you go. But success is only driven by the amount of work you want to put in. And what makes you different, I say to everybody that's in the room, what makes you different is what makes you better. And that's how you succeed in life, is being better than the person behind you and the person behind, or different. What do you offer me? Why am I going to hire you? And why am I going to pay you $300,000 a year? Because, by the way, that's not a lot of money. It is now to you, but it won't be when you get out. Right? So success is only driven by however far you want to go in anything you want to do.
Thank you, Chef.
But I will tell you, Andrew, I will tell you this. There's one thing you will get in this military is training. And you will bet the best friends you will ever have in your life you will find in this group. I'll tell you that.
Hello, my name is Matthew Seal. I'm from Cadet Squadron 13. I was just curious, what are some of the most common characteristics you see of the most successful teams and restaurants?
The most successful teams, there's no egos. They listen to each other. They allow each other to converse. I run 6,000 people. I let 6,000 people speak, and if they don't agree with me, they can tell me they don't agree with me. But if you tell me you don't agree with me or a solution, you better have a solution to follow that, right? You can have a problem, but bring me the solution to go along with it. And successful teams listen. The Army does something, and I'm using this because it's kind of a neat, Sergeant Major Grinston, who was just retired, he started something called Know Your Squad. I know my squad. I know their strengths and their weaknesses. They know my weaknesses. So if you can work in unison with those weaknesses and fix them together as a team, there's no stopping you. Failure, the only time you can have failure is once. You can never have failure twice on the same thing. You can fail more than twice, but not on the same thing. If I make a mistake, I better not make that mistake again. Because you have to learn from that, because eventually it costs you money or it costs a life. If you make a mistake, it costs somebody's life. Mine, if I burn an egg, okay, I burn an egg. But that's how you make successful teams, by listening to each other, helping each other. And my job is to lift you up, not put you down. And if you watch TV and there's enough of that negativity out there, but my job is to make sure you get to the next level. That's my job. My job is to make sure my CEO takes over my job. And that's what great teams do. They're successful because they help each other.
Thank you, Chef.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Max Haas, and a lot of service members coming out of the military have a difficult time finding their purpose. So I was kind of wondering how you kind of found your purpose after the military that helped you become such a successful individual.
I will tell you, you are blessed in the United States of America. Because when I come out in England, they just say, hey, sign here, there's your pension, see ya. You have transition here. And I will tell each and every one of you, before you get out eventually, Make sure you use the military to the best of your advantage. Every course, every class, everything you can do in this military, do it. Because it's going to cost you outside to do it. Transition for me was very hard, and I didn't have a purpose. And that's one of the toughest things to transition out of the military, is to find purpose in a team of people that are like-minded. Because you're all like-minded because you chose to come here and put on a uniform, right, and learn. When you get outside, it's not like that. Unless you find a company that really cares about the values of the military. And I'll give you a couple. American Airlines, Comcast, NBC Universal, Cisco Computers, defense contractors, they care because that's their world. But it's very hard. You have to find out what it is you want to do when you leave, and it takes 2 years before you leave to start that journey, to make sure all your education's in place, your benefits are in place, all those things that you do when you transition out. But it's got to be something that you love to do. When I came out of the military, I wanted to be around the military. I went to cruise ships, I did hotels, I did all those things, but I hated it. I made a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but I hated it until I started my own company. I said, why am I making money for these companies when I can do it myself? Which allowed me, my passion is not cooking. My passion is this, you guys and girls, in all the branches. Cooking is just a vehicle to get me to you, right? That's, to me, I enjoy that. I cook on television, we have 7 TV shows, we do the whatever. It's not about the fame, because fame is all BS. It makes you money, great, but it doesn't necessarily fulfill you. The military fulfilled me. I love the camaraderie, I love the travel, I love the people. I love going home weekends and playing football and getting drunk and then going back to work on Monday, you know. By the way, I'm not advocating getting drunk. Because as you get older, you grow out of that. But you can't replace the camaraderie unless you go to a company that has the same values as the military does, and the same values that you have. And I think that's the thing. Find somebody that you like, or a company that you like, that has the same values and keeps you around this. Because once you're in this, I think it's very hard to get away from it, in my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, real quick, this will be the last question.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You stay there, stay there, stay there. Give him one more.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Cadet 3rd Class Lehman from CS10, and I realize there's a lot of different kinds of food. There's physical food, mental food, spiritual food. And I was wondering if you had any advice to us on how we could change the food in all 3 of those aspects here at the Academy. How can we improve in those ways?
Hang on, quiet down a bit. Say that again.
So across everything that makes the Academy what it is, if there was anything we could improve that you've seen in your time here in physical food, spiritual food, and mental food, what would it be, and how can we change that starting tomorrow?
I think it's interesting. You look, spiritual food. That's you, right? You have to look. I'm a God-fearing person. I really am. I believe in God, and it's kept me safe, and I pray every day. That's a personal thing, or a group thing if you choose to do it a group thing. The food. I think you've got to think about, and I know a lot of you cook in your dorms, right? You've got slow cookers or...
Not allowed.
Yeah, not allowed, but I know you do because I know. There's something, because I'm not going to say that, but I know you cook. But look, you have to look at whatever you're putting in. It's like having a Mercedes-Benz, right? If I'm going to get the best out of Mercedes-Benz, I got to put the right fuel in. If you don't put the right fuel in your body, I will guarantee you at 10 o'clock in the morning when you're sitting in your classroom, you're going to be going like this, right? Because you've got to eat food for breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal. I would rather see you eat 5 meals a day, and this is the average. An average meal in protein is the size of a deck of cards. And carbohydrates the size of the mouse we used to use, not the ones on your finger now, but the old mouse. Carbohydrates. You should be eating that 5 to 7 times a day, or something like that. Why? Because your body metabolism speeds up. And if you're tired, that means because you haven't eaten enough at breakfast. Breakfast meaning not eggs and bacon and, yeah, okay, you can have eggs. But if you eat oatmeal first thing when you wake up, it takes 2 hours to burn slowly in your stomach. Gives you the time to be able to do your workout before you eat the next meal. After 2 hours of having oatmeal, you should be eating every 2.5 hours because that's how the body's designed. So I would say eat smaller meals more frequently to keep you ahead of the game. You'll build lean muscle mass and you won't be tired. And get lots of sleep.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate your time.
All right. I know.
Hi, Chef. My name is Mock. I actually kind of have a similar question to the previous one, but kind of from the other side of the table. What can we, as we're going to eventually be commanders, we're going to be in charge of things, maybe we're going to be in charge of budgeting and allocation for a big dining facility like we have here at Mitchell Hall. What can we do at the other end to make sure that we facilitate, actionable things that we can facilitate, the best food possible and therefore the best morale?
That's not your job.
Okay.
That's my job. It's my job to go back to the senior leadership and say, hey, this is what I've seen here, this is what I've heard here, and this is what I suggest here, right? It's very hard for you as a cadet, same as Fort Jackson, as a first 10-week soldier. You don't have a voice. You do here. I have to take that voice back to the leadership, to the 1-star, the commandant, to the colonel, to the 3 stars to say, hey, look, I think there's a better way to do this, but that means me investigating the way to do it, right? Because I feel sometimes there's a lot of waste where we could be making better choices instead of wasting food, getting better product to still feed you in 15 minutes, but without wasting that product and giving you a better nutritional product than what I saw today, right? So I'm gonna work on that.
Thank you, Chef.
All right.
Hello, sir. My name's Ryan. Thank you for speaking to us today. I was curious what your favorite food is and why.
I can't hear what you say.
His favorite food and why?
My favorite food is roast chicken, mashed potatoes, because that's how I grew up. And I make it for my 2 kids. One's a doctor, one's a nurse. One's a lawyer, sorry. Almost a doctor. It's my favorite food. Simple food done well.
Thank you, sir.
Last one.
Sir, my name is Raj, and going back to your question about leeway, what would you say to a lot of cadets here who feel they're unable to be successful or be happy because they feel the organization or their commander doesn't give them enough leeway to find that happiness, to find that drive to be here?
Did you hear that? I can't hear you.
Could you? Do you want me to repeat that?
I can't hear you very well.
Okay. So in regards to your statements about leeway, what would you say to the cadets here who say they don't have enough leeway from their commanders or the organization of USAFA to kind of find happiness or drive to be here, and they kind of feel maybe put down by the organization itself?
That's a weird question. Break that down for me.
So you told us for the success of an organization, we need manpower.
Break that down for me. All right, go ahead.
So for the success of an organization, for the success of an organization, you said we require manpower and a few other things and leeway.
Yeah.
What would you say to the cadets here who feel that they don't have enough leeway to be successful from the organization, from their commanders, because they just feel like there's too many constraints put on them, maybe too many formations or whatever, that they aren't able to find happiness?
Well, I will tell you formations outside of the academy, right? Because I don't deal with formations in the academy. But outside, the operational tempo, they're looking at the formations and training that is, do we overtrain? Do we overextend our force? I can tell you that right now. That's happening as of a week ago. Do we waste time, and should we not do this training to give you more time with families? That they're looking at, right? The academies are different because we have a certain amount of time, and I don't know the amount of time, but not today, but so the Army has 10 weeks to take you from a civilian to a soldier before we ship you out somewhere and to get your MOS training. The academy has the same thing. You have to pack so much in at such a short period of time. There is no time. They do listen to you. I can guarantee that because I was talking to the commander and the brigadier general yesterday about the changes they're making based on the classes that have come, not only the class of 26, but prior. I knew that was going to go. But the classes before. Remember, the academy's been up, I don't know how long the academy's been open, but millions of people have been through here, right? So every time a class goes through, there is an end of action report, or that's what we call it. I don't know what you call it here, but so we know what went wrong, what went right, how many issues went on, so we can change that ready for the next class, or the next semester, or the next whatever. So people do listen to you, but remember, you've been here how long? 2 years. 2 years. I'm 58 years old. They're only just starting to listen to me. Right? After 14 years of telling the military that the food across the DOD is not good. It took me 14 years to beat myself on the head, and every 4 Secretary of Defenses, 4 Chairmen of Joint Chiefs, 4 Vice Chairmen of Joint Chiefs, and a lot of people. So they do listen. But again, I say it and I'll say it again. There's a time and a place to let that information be known. If you go up to him and he's Brigadier General and say, "Sir," bleh, and you spew out everything that's out wrong, do you think he's going to listen to you? No. But if you do it at the right time, you write it down, you're succinct in what your issues are, you take it up and say, "Sir, can I have a chat for whoever your leader is?" You explain those things. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have issues, and this is for everybody in the room, if you have issues, make sure you talk to your next person up, who can then take it to the next person up, and so on and so on. The chain of command is there for a reason. Especially nowadays, we have more suicide rates in our military than we've ever had. And this is where the Army, and I said this, the Sergeant Major got it right. Know your squad, check in on your buddies, your girls, your friends, right? They're your friends. Make sure you check in on them, make sure they're doing okay. Stress, especially at school. I wasn't good at school, didn't like it, will never like it. It's hard. And you're doing a great job, but there are times when you get overwhelmed. And it's when you get overwhelmed, you have to talk to somebody. Am I clear? Am I clear? Yes, all right, listen, I want to say thank you for the questions. Thank you for what you do every day. Thanks for putting on the uniform. And I will see you somewhere around the world. God bless you all. Appreciate it, man.